Heirs to fortunes tend never to settle down with regular jobs. Many go off on adventures on the other side of the globe instead. Just look at the hunting trips of Kermit Roosevelt, son of Teddy Roosevelt. But, unlike him, Michael Rockefeller got himself eaten by cannibals. The fifth child of a one-time 1970s U.S. vice president, Michael Rockefeller was a child of privilege. A Harvard graduate who only served 6 months in the Army as a private in 1960. He managed to successfully complete a study of a local tribe in western New Guinea before setting out the next year on what would prove to be a deadly endeavor. At 23 years old, he was 7 months into the adventure of a lifetime in a region that knew neither steel nor iron. There was no road, no cars, no railway, and no air travel. There, the Arafura Sea's 15-foot tides inundated the coast of southwest New Guinea, in an invisible swelling that daily slid into a flat swamp and pushed hard against great outflowing rivers. It was a world of knee-deep mud and mangrove swamps. True, it was no river of doubt, the river that tested and nearly killed former President Theodore Roosevelt, but it possessed hurdles in a similar vein. Traveling downriver, it is said that Michael's boat overturned, leaving him and his Dutch companion clinging to the hull. In a bid to find help, Rockefeller had swum for shore and vanished. No trace of him was ever found, despite a 2-week search involving ships, airplanes, helicopters, and thousands of locals prowling up and down the coasts and jungle swamps. After all, wealth can buy an extensive rescue op, but it cannot always save you. Within a few years, he was declared dead. The official cause of death was drowning, but there had been a horde of rumors. He'd been kidnapped and kept prisoner. He'd gone native and was hiding out in the jungle. He'd been consumed by sharks. He'd made it to shore only to be killed and eaten by the local Asmat headhunters. The rumors were so common that they inspired an off-Broadway play, a novel, a rock song, and even a television show in the 1980s. As it turns out, the last rumor was closest to the truth, but there's a bit more reason behind it than people starving or some strange ritual. In 1958, just 3 years before Rockefeller's expedition, the Otsenjep village and a nearby village, Omadisep, engaged in a mutual massacre as they existed in a tense atmosphere of tricking each other in malicious ways and occasional murder for years. While the killing wasn't new, the local Dutch government controller of southern Asmat was, and he did not take kindly to this. He decided the two groups should be taught a lesson. On January 18, 1958, he led a force of officers to Omadisep and confiscated as many weapons as they could find. Otsenjep, on the other hand, didn't cooperate. 3 Papuan policemen sent with gifts of a Dutch flag and some steel axes returned quickly from there. The men of Otsenjep wanted nothing to do with the government and were willing to use violence to make themselves clear, as a government official Lepre would write in his official report. The Dutch flag was not accepted. In response, he headed for the village with an armed, reinforced police contingent and arrived on February 6th amid pelting rain. Lepre ordered them to forfeit their weapons. Immediately after, a man came out of a house bearing something in his hand, and he ran toward Lepre. This caused pandemonium. Shots rang out from all directions, several villagers went down with bullets smashed through skulls, guts, jaws, and limbs. The villagers would remember every detail of the bullet damage. So shocking it was to them, the violence so fast and ferocious and magical seeming to people used to hand-to-hand combat and wounding each other with spear or arrow. Confronted with faster and more effective violence, the Asmat panicked and bolted into the jungle. Lepre would later report, "The course of affairs is certainly regrettable, But on the other hand, it has become clear to them that headhunting and cannibalism is not much appreciated by a government institution all but unknown to them, with which they had only incidental contact. It is highly likely that the people now understand that they would do better not to resist authorities. Understanding was not the case. Instead, the villagers believed the ghosts of the dead now haunted them and made people sick. Now, you may be wondering what this has to do with Michael Rockefeller. Well, as it turns out, a group from the village of Otsanjep came across him near the bank of the river. As the story from a missionary went, someone in the group said, "People of Otsanjep, you're always talking about headhunting Tuans," meaning white men. "Well, here's your chance." This caused an argument, but they still speared the man through the ribs when they picked him up out of the water. Then they built a big fire and ate him. While several stories of this event were told both in the 1960s and later repeated in the 2000s, the details remain murky. The only consensus is that he was killed by a group from a village in retaliation for a 1958 killing by Dutch colonial officials. If you're still wondering about the cannibalism aspect, that was considered a part of the revenge alongside the killing, and the practice was common to the area. So that concludes this story. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, there's always more history, so go ahead and subscribe and leave a like on the video. Till next month.